vendors and subcontractors and more. Some examples of this, maybe the creation of a model of a car, or maybe like missile development, something like that. And then the most complex is the systems, which is also called the array level of project management. And this is going to be, we do have multiple levels of projects. You're often dealing with legal entities. You've got a lot of moving parts in the system. And maybe an example of this would be like the tunnel project that occurred a couple of decades ago that linked England and France underneath the English Channel, where you had all these moving parts and had to deal with a bunch of cultural issues, legal issues, things like that, in order to get the project done. Another example could be, we mentioned missile development. An entire missile defense system would fall under the array category also. Now, the effect of complexity on the project management, you're going to see a different structure of leadership. Okay. This general structure of leadership. For your assembly level, you're going to see more something like a single team or unit leading that project, while in the system, it's going to be like a central office that coordinates a number of different teams and units, business units that are working together to get the project accomplished. And then the array is more like an umbrella organization that works with legal entities, with governments, with regulation, all these outside organizations that are working together. As you move from assembly to array in the complexity of the process, you're going to see more formalities develop because it's just necessary because of all the different moving parts that are involved in the process. And there's, again, if you move from assembly to array and you get more complex, you're going to see the risk of errors and omissions increase because one person is going to be very difficult to know every single part of the process that's out there. And to be able to cover all those parts in the process, that goes into your planning phase, it lengthens your planning phase to make sure everything is covered up and you don't have those errors and omissions that happen. In addition, you're more likely to have midstream changes in the array than you would in the assembly because you have all these moving parts that may be competing against each other, or things that are outside of your control of the project, outside forces. There's more of those that may come in and change what your final destination is going to be of the project. Okay, so for the benefits of project management, the project management it provides structure and touch points throughout the process, so you ensures your efficient use of resources. So you have going through the project, you have a final destination that you're looking at, you have timelines that have to be met, and there's feedback, constant feedback that's coming in order to make sure the process works. And you're really looking at the different tasks and the resources throughout the process and using that feedback to make sure that you are doing things in the most efficient way possible. Provides feedback loops, and it defines an endpoint, so it's not a never-ending process that goes on forever and ever. That's one important part of the project management. You're sharing that vision, you're working toward the goal, and everybody knows what that endpoint is, and you have a definite cutoff that you actually can deliver your product. Okay. It also minimized ambiguity. For one of the first things that you need to do in the project is define what your goals are and communicate those to your teams. With the structure that you have with the project management, everybody that's a part of the process gets a picture of what they're actually working for,
and then can work toward that goal. Okay. The structure of project management also requires that you have constant communication. There are things built into the system as part of the structure that makes it necessary to communicate that you're meeting your timelines or what you're doing in order to reach that goal. It also it builds a stronger team cohesion and focus in the group so that everybody is once again working toward the same end goal. And once again, it structures all the work to achieve goals and provides the checks and balances. You get this through the feedback loops that come through the system as you're going through the process from defining and organizing all the way to the end of delivery of the project. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the process itself. The first step that you have in the process is define and organize. Usually there is some sort of problem that needs to be solved, and this is going to be you need to visualize what your end goal and where you want to get at that point, and communicate that out to everybody that's going to be a part of the project so everybody understands where they're going. At that point, then you need to kind of take an assessment of what kind of resources that you may need to actually complete that project. And that may be the human resources, labor resources, materials. You need to think about where you're going to get this, supply the materials from. And if it's human resources, how much of that labor is going to be allocated to you to actually complete the project. From that point forward, you move into the planning, which is you look at all the tasks, and you want to start from your end point and work backwards. You got to start from that end point and visualize where you want to go, and then think about all the individual tasks that have to be completed in order to reach that end goal. You also want to look at those tasks and see which of those overlap and may be able to be shortened so you can make your process a little bit more efficient from beginning to end. You also want to set timelines so you can hold people accountable throughout the process and not be wasteful with people's the resources' time or go over schedule. When you're done with the planning, you move on into the execution. This is where you manage and actually hold people accountable for all the goals that you've actually set. You come through and there's weekly, or not weekly, but there's frequent meetings that you have. There's communication that everybody is on the same page. You also need to be mindful, and this may have come up in the planning stage, of different resources that may be actually competing against each other for time or whatever that may conflict, and you have to resolve those issues. Now during this whole process right here, you may see that you're actually getting feedback, and you may have to go back to the planning stage, or if at the end your customer, your stakeholder changes what they're, oh yeah, there it is. So,
sorry, I'm great with that.
There you go. Ooh, I feel like I'm not on stage here. Okay, so execution, and then you may have to go back to the define and organize stage to redefine what your endpoint's going to be, because things may have happened outside of your control that changes what product you have to deliver. Then you come back through the planning and the execution. So you may go through those in a number of times before you actually finally get to the closing part. So as a result, you can see that the process is not linear at all, and many of the phases can overlap each other as you're making it from beginning to end. And you have to be flexible. This is a plan. This is not something that is rigid and written in stone. It is something to guide you to get from the beginning to the end. And it may take more than one cycle to get through the process. You may have a design phase, and you may have an implementation phase that you go through before you actually can deliver a final project to your stakeholder that have asked for that. And now that we understand the process, I will turn it over to Jasmine to talk about spowing.